8 months into his presidency, U.S. President Donald Trump is ramping up his campaign of retribution against political rivals. In a social media post, Trump appealed to Attorney General Pam Bondi to take legal action against former FBI Director James Comey, California Senator Adam Schiff, and New York Attorney General James. The three led separate investigations into the president. Trump ended by saying, quote, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me over nothing. Justice must be served now." Now, to better understand the implications of all of that, I am now joined by Kate Shaw, professor of law at the University of Pennsylvania, Carey Law School. She joins me now from New York. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Trump is directing the Justice Department to go after people who were investigating him. The question is it legal for a president to do this?
Well, this isn't the first time that Trump has threatened his political adversaries. He has issued those threats. He has even taken some action, removing security details from government officials who he was displeased with, issuing executive orders targeting law firms for hiring his political adversaries. But this, I think, is a step that we have not seen him take, actually appearing to direct the Justice Department to pursue political adversaries or rivals. And I think the short answer is it is fundamentally inconsistent with the core constitutional value of equal justice under law for the president to direct his subordinates to pursue political adversaries simply because they have crossed or displeased him, or as the Truth Social post suggested, previously pursued him. And that nevertheless appears to be what we have seen this president take the step to do.
Now, if it is really inconsistent with the values of the Constitution, how do you think the Justice Department will respond?
It's a great question. And the Justice Department, of course, at the very top levels is increasingly staffed by Trump loyalists. So that appears to be why Trump removed the chief prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia and has temporarily installed a political loyalist, evidently to pursue some of these political prosecutions. But of course, a high-level prosecutor cannot pursue a criminal case alone. A staff is required of investigators and line-level prosecutors, and all of those officials take oaths to the Constitution, which includes upholding the value of equal justice under law. And so it may be more difficult than President Trump thinks to actually secure these indictments, because many of the people who need to participate in pursuing those indictments may have a higher loyalty to the Constitution than he appears from his recent statements to himself have.
Now, you just hit on the next point I wanted to raise. During Trump's first administration, some of his more extreme impulses were reined in by more experienced voices in the halls of government. Do you have the impression that those voices are still being heard under this current administration?
Well, certainly not at the high levels of government. So the cabinet, the kind of top levels at places like the Department of Justice do not have, in this administration, the same kinds of elder statesmen that we saw in the first Trump administration, people who did tell President Trump no and who seemed to work to curb some of his impulses. So I think it's right that his top advisors look very different and far more compliant in this administration than the first one. But the civil service is still largely staffed, despite many purges that have occurred, but is still largely staffed by career officials who have remained in office in Democratic and Republican administrations alike. And again, they are the ones who would need to carry out any orders to pursue a political rival. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they would heed those orders. And we also have the requirement to present evidence to a grand jury, just composed of citizens, in order to secure an indictment. And I am not sure if there is really no evidence of wrongdoing, as seems to be the case. I don't think there's any guarantee that even if you pursued an indictment, a grand jury of just regular, ordinary individuals would return that indictment.
Now, if this becomes a model moving forward, what are the broader implications for the U.S.'s democratic institutions? Could we be seeing a new precedent being set?
I think that it's hard not to see real lasting damage to our institutions, in particular the Department of Justice, just by virtue of these high-level directives to pursue political rivals. So impartial justice has been a core value of the Department of Justice, right? Essentially since its inception. And so I do think that an enormous amount of rebuilding, and whether that's reconstituting norms or actually passing statutes that explicitly require things like equal justice under law, which have so far flown from the Constitution and been the kind of result of practices and norms, but not statutes that say things like you cannot prosecute political rivals. So it may be that more hard law in order to really cement these norms is required in order to work on building back the independence and credibility of these institutions.
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. That was Kate Shaw, a professor of law at the University of Pennsylvania, Carey Law School. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.